reasons why you want to control access is to prevent things like this. So this is a Salt Lake City TV station. You might have read about this in the trades. This happened last year. So basically what happened here is they had a producer who thought he was posting to his personal Twitter account. Oops, ended up posting to the station's Twitter account. And essentially, this was a big embarrassment for the TV station for sure, but probably one of the bigger problems was that it took them several days to figure out who had posted this. Because there were so many people who had the Twitter password, it literally could have been any one of like 15 different people. So you really want to try to create a scenario where you understand who's posting what, and you're putting some accountability in place. In case you think that was a fluke, it definitely wasn't. This was just a couple months ago, same exact situation, super, super bad. You really don't want things like this happening, right? Can you read that? I don't read this when I do speeches, I refuse, so you can read it for yourself. Next, as far as the hacking goes and password goes, this is something that we've seen at a couple of really prominent news organizations where they've been basically hacked because, again, you're a target. These were more or less professional hackers, but the point being that if your password's a little too easy, folks will try to get into your Twitter account and post craziness. So you want to make sure that that password is secure. So making a list, controlling access, and then prioritizing security, okay? So a few questions I want you to ask yourself. Number one, what happens when someone is fired or quits? You have a plan in place to get their key back. You have a plan in place to lock them out of the email. Do you have a plan in place to remove their access to social media? And what is it? And who knows about it? Whose responsibility is it? Who's making sure this gets done? Because all the time we find, my co-founder at Social News Desk, Lisa Defoe, who you guys might know, she came to work with me, and about 8 months later, we realized she was still an admin on her old TV station's Facebook page. And she's a very nice lady, so she didn't go in and write like, screw you, town, or whatever. But, it could happen. And so we want to make sure that you have a really clear plan to control access, when someone is leaving the station, when turnover happens. Next, how often are your passwords changed? If your password's never changed, please change it. Please change it routinely. Please have a plan in place for that. Assign it to someone. Make sure that this is part of your routine activity that goes on, just like changing, the locks at home. If you get robbed, you want to make sure that you've always got a plan in place to keep security going. And then keeping track of who posts what. So this is a little more tricky. There are some kind of rudimentary ways to do this. We've seen stations who will literally require that their people initial each post. And I'm not necessarily advocating that, but it's certainly one way to go. I just think that the basic principle of knowing who's doing what is important. This is something that a lot of the times you have to go to a third-party platform. Social News Desk, for example, one of the things we do is track always who's posting what, so that you can come in as a manager and say, okay, well, this post was great, or this post was horrible, and who did it and who's responsible. It's something that can be really valuable for you from an accountability standpoint, so building a plan in place for that is great too.